Hey, so I am currently watching four TV shows or series, whatever you want to call it. I'm not watching them on TV. Uh, like I'm I'm under 40 years old. I don't watch TV. Kind of like I suppose all of you guys and girls out there. But this is like the most I think I've watched because they're currently ongoing. So I'm currently watching She-Hulk, Sandman, The Rings of Power, and House of the Dragon. And I can't help but compare them and compare my experience. And I thought I'll talk a bit about that today in what I like to call embrace modern storytelling or embrace the media because we aren't on TV anymore. We aren't set to these old time slots of 20 minutes or 30 minutes with ads or 40 minutes so they can put ads in for an hour or a full hour, stuff like that. So I've been thinking about that and thinking how I thought that we might see various shows, types, and length of episode with these new streaming services and this what modern day of storytelling. And I don't think we've seen a lot of it. But I'll get back to it because first I'd like to talk about um, how I've just now, being around episode 4 for both House of the Dragon and Ring of Power, that now I know what the House of the Dragon is about or is gonna be about the princess. I'm not gonna spoil a lot of things here. That's I don't need to and I don't want to. But now episode 4, I know something happened, but now I am invested in the princess. I can't remember her name, but I can never remember names in any of these things. That's just me. That's nothing against the show. Now I'm invested in the princess because she started to appear more human. She started to express emotion, both happiness and sorrow, and she started to vocalize what she wants or what she fears, what she's hoping to achieve. And these things I can relate to, even though I'm not a princess. It doesn't matter because I can relate to the fundamental feelings of trying to achieve something. And I can't tell if it was deliberately on the actress that she was being like kind of like shot in or closed, stonewalled, what do you want to call it, stone face. Uh, I couldn't get any emotional connection. I wasn't connecting to her, but now in episode 4, something happens. She's kind of open up. Now I am more invested in it than I was in the first 3 episodes. But also, she wasn't making decisions. So the first 3 episodes, I'm kind of like, is it the king that's the main protagonist? Or I mean, there's going to be multiple. It's a Game of Thrones series, but who's who and who's like the bigger and who's minor, and for the and that also that usually depends on who's making decisions. And of course, it's the king, but it's also the decisions of the story and the decisions that we focus on, and that was the king for the first 3 episodes. And I think now we're going. Um, Today's Sunday, but this is not gonna be released on Sunday. So hopefully I'll know tomorrow when I watch Monday the latest episode. I feel we're gonna be focusing more on the princess now. She's kind of the main character, and I think she was meant to all along. Um, so now that it took 4 episodes to get settled for House of the Dragon for me to get this invested, and I wouldn't say it's much invested, but it's invested enough. I have something now. I have a foundation I can build on it. She-Hulk was there a lot sooner, but also because I kind of knew, because of the comics, that what could this type of show be? Like it's a sitcom show, and She-Hulk is not always the main character, kind of like how Doctor Strange actually is, as I know in the comics, and I'm really not up to any of the comics. But you can say like so She-Hulk is this attorney for superheroes, so she's more like a vessel that people will come to her, and then she will have to solve the cases or solve the problems, find a solution, and that'll be what the story's about. that can be great storytelling. I mean, they sold her comics for years based on that, as far as I can tell. Um, so pretty much early on, yeah, I know what this is going to be about. I'm not there yet with the Rings of Power. I think I might have started to get there. It's minor spoiler, because I'm now introduced to a character called Isildur, and I know who that is. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan, as in, yes, I am. I really love the movies and have watched them many times. Not The Hobbits, I think I only watched them once each. And I can remember things because the movie made me invest in, the Peter Jackson trilogy made me invest in the characters, so the names of the places, what's going on. I definitely remember Isildur. Can't remember if he's like related to Aragorn, but I can definitely remember how he had the ring there. So and that also helped me place the Ring of Power in compared to the Lord of the Rings. Where are we? Because elves are immortal unless you kill them, but that's not what immortal means. So the timeline is skewed watching from their perspective. I think the series does okay with these elves things anyway. But I now know what the Rings of Power may be about. And you can say, yeah, it's about Galadriel doing things, discovering things, going places. But that's not a story, I would say. Because it's not an engaging one for me. It's a block at best, or diary. Because what is she trying to achieve? And then she has something, a bigger goal, where it'll be like, oh, I am hunting for this character, I'm looking for this character, I'm searching for the truth. I am very much referring to a book I haven't reviewed yet, but definitely read, called Acting for Animators. It puts this into lines as saying a character needs a goal, and that goal needs to be achievable, then they get another goal. So it needs to be very concrete, very precise, not something big and vague like, oh, I want peace on earth. No, and especially in animation, you can see a character like, I want the chocolate on the top shelf, but there's a big dog guarding the chocolate. That's a goal. You can start from that. I can't see that with Galadriel. She has many big goals, so I don't know what the Rings of Power is about yet. There's a guy falling from the sky. Is he important? I don't know his name. He can't speak. I don't know what role he's gonna have. Yes, you can have some mystery, but I'm not even getting the foundation knowledge that I need from these stories, from these characters. I don't know how they're gonna interact on each other, and it's not enough for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's just not enough to say, oh, it's gonna be important later, which I guess the series is saying just by introducing characters. We hope, audience attention is limited, so you can't just introduce 100 characters and then one of them is going to be important. So I'm not there with the Ring of Power. I still don't know what it's going to be about, but now I know Isildur, so I know that he's going to have something to do with the ring at some point. And that's just where I am with that. And then along comes Sandman, that I started watching, because thank you Netflix for releasing every episode. That is so nice. That is the first step in modern story, to release the whole goddamn season, so I can control if I want to binge it or if I want to watch 3 episodes on a Wednesday because I have time. Or yes, please leave that up to me. As a little side note, actively watching the show that isn't complete has ruined Attack on Titan for me. I might talk about that in a separate video, but just in short, I have forgotten the plot, the characters, the names. The story is also told a lot through flashback in Attack on Titans. So Attack on Titan is ruined, in internet ruin. It's not the big overall story, but my enjoyment of Attack on Titan was severely damaged by it not being released. By me watching it episodically, I couldn't keep up with it. So of course half of that is my fault, just saying the first step, modern story, to release the whole season. It's so much easier for the viewer, for me to then control it myself. And I have a lot of colleagues and friends that are like, yes, I want to watch this when it's finished, and that puts them in a state of limbo where I can't talk about something because they are waiting. I think that's what they want, the publishers or the studios, when they release series like in the old school, like older, back in the ancient days on television. I think they want that, where everyone was like talking on Monday about an episode of whatever series was big on television Sunday night at 8. I just think that time has passed. We were doing it, we were a group of colleagues from the original Game of Thrones, and also friends when Game of Thrones were big. You know, we would watch it on Mondays, and then we would talk about it Tuesday, and if there was one or two we knew that didn't watch the episode or wanted to wait until it finished, we would try to respect that. Of course, accidents happened. But I don't think we can do that anymore. Like, it takes a show of Game of Thrones popularity to do that again these days, where everyone's like glued on a browser and waiting for something to become available. And House of Dragon certainly can't do that, but that's how they operate. Also, they have to sell, subscriptions, and it's easier to keep people subscribed for many months if you drip feed them content. Getting sidetracked here. So, let me get back to my notes. Where was I? Right, Sandman. So I started watching Sandman the whole season. And here, let me start with the episode length. The first episode of Sandman is 1 hour, and then the remaining, or the subsequent 3 or 4 episodes I think I watched have all been around 40 minutes. That's amazing. That's great. You're embracing the modern media where you can set up the world, the conflict, the characters in an hour, better than 40 minutes, and then you can shrink down on the episode if that's what you want. We've seen the opposite with Game of Thrones, but also with Westworld, and I almost was late for work for Westworld because the last episode was, I think, an hour and a half or an hour and 20, and I was expecting 1 hour. So I was kind of like, when this show is over, I need to go to work. And then when it was over, an extra 20 minutes has passed. It was, it was a whole thing. And we've seen it with Game of Thrones, where the last 2 episodes of the seasons were movie length, like an hour and a half, because they couldn't cram it in there. I can appreciate that. I think that's good. That's modern storytelling, because you are not in a time slot. You can do that. I think a lot of studios are hesitant to do stuff like this, especially cutting down. Maybe just because of people's lizard brains was like, okay, I expect an anime episode to be 20 minutes or 2 by 10 minutes, depending on what you're watching. And I think you're screwing with people's expectation too much if you be like, oh, this episode is going to be 15 minutes because we could make the story longer, and then there's a next episode that's going to be 30 minutes because it had more story in there. I'm not sure people are ready for that. I have an idea that I would like it, so if you have like an ongoing show with a lot of episodes, they don't have to pad out stories to fill an episode. If it can come up with 12 minutes of fun story, but you need to fill in 20, you're going to reduce it. You're going to add some sort of filler content, and the quality will go down. So I appreciate, at least I think I would, that's my argument, that I would appreciate 12 minutes of quality over 12 minutes stretched to 20 minutes. I talk about this a lot with game length. So that was great. I thought Sandman the creators of that show had a good decision. I think Firefly did the same thing, but the first episode is kind of like an hour to set things up, and then subsequently. So that's cool. It's not new, but it's cool and it's nice, and I liked it. And of course, no, I didn't like it because it was an hour. I liked it, and here's what I wanted to get to for Sandman. I like it because it sets up the story, the world, and the characters so perfectly. I will review Sandman on a separate video, like everything I consume, watch, play, read these days. And I will probably sing it to high heavens. So far have only good things to say about it. But wow, when I'm watching, She-Hulk, Ring of Power, House of the Dragon, coming into Sandman that sets up the story so well, the characters, like after 1 hour, I know, the first episode, I know exactly what this story is going to be about. I know the character's motivation, and character motivation is important to me. I mention it all the time, saying, if I think something's good, it's usually because I can get behind the characters, I get their motivation. Damn, I get the motivation of Dream, the main character in Sandman, or Sandman, he has many names, but it doesn't get confusing. It does exposition really well, but I should talk about that in the upcoming, at some point, separate Sandman video. But I get what the story is going to be about after the first episode, and I immediately wanted to watch the second one. This was great. And then, by God, it does the same trick in the second episode, because I get like a big goal, saying I want to restore this, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, and then episode 2 goes one step deeper and is going where Sandman is like, and this is how I'm going to do it, this is what I need, and this is how I'm going to go about it. Trying not to spoil it. Also, I don't know that, because I haven't watched the whole season, and I look at completed stories. A beginning can be good, but if the end is bad, that pulls down the whole experience for me. But so far, yes, I'm on board with Sandman. Things are great. It is very well done. Very talented people working on there. It's such a pleasure. And gosh darn it, Stranger Things could have used that a lot. But I don't think they're there. I think people, when they sat down, if they do like me, sit down when they have dinner or snacks, or maybe they invite friends over and we're gonna watch Stranger Things. We expect an hour. So I don't think they dare mess with people's expectation, and people will probably not accept that the Stranger Things episodes as 45 minutes or maybe even 35. But that season, and I'll talk about that in my video, that could have used that modern storytelling, saying, okay, this is dragging, or this is sagging, or we told what we wanted to tell for this episode, or the characters are where they need to be. You can just end, don't need to drag on. That would have improved the experience so much for me. And when I'm thinking about it, seeing this, what I can modern storytelling or diverse in length, or because we're talking about TV shows. I was thinking about other things that I enjoy, and I see it all over the place. It's just not that accepted on TV shows so far. Like, I'm thinking, all the games that I play are not the same length, and I can hold them up to being equally good. All the games are also not the same price. Those things kind of had to match the same quality. So why not? Why not TV shows? Why not these series? Like, all movies aren't the same length, anyways. But I usually pay the same price, the same ticket if I go to the cinema. It doesn't get more. At least not what I've noticed. Maybe if you have something like IMAX or 3D, you pay extra. But I don't pay extra for a longer movie, or I don't get discounted if a movie is only, let's say, an hour and a half. So what's going on with TV? Not all the books that I read is the same length. Heck, they're not even the same format. Different page layout, but they're also not the same price. Why can't we not have this with series, with TV shows? I remember reading the One Piece manga. They would have when they put them into trade books, some of the books would be slightly thinner and some would be slightly thicker, depending on the story arc, what is currently going on. I can't remember if I paid more or less for those books because I would usually buy, a bulk of books. But I think they were roughly the same price, and it's good. People liked it, saying this is just thinner because they are now done on this island. If you know One Piece, or they moved on. So there's precedence for it. It has been done before. It is being done now with great success. I think it could be implemented in streaming services and TV shows a lot greater. And I'm thinking about things that where I know where it's going. I have read, I think, most of a comic called Saga, and I still don't know what it's about. Like, I know the characters and things happening, but a clear goal, I don't see it. It's weird because I keep reading it. It's not bad. I'm not a huge super fan, but it's not bad by any mean. But I don't know what's going to happen. Like, the characters are mostly surviving because they're being chased, but that's not a story. I feel it's not really working for me. And I need that, and I was just so taken back. Like, I didn't realize that I missed it so much when I started watching Sandman. And it doesn't really matter. Like, I can say, I know, at least I have an idea and feel like I'm correct, that I know what She-Hulk is going to be about from the very beginning. I just didn't think it was well made, but I can see what it's about. So yeah, I would love that a lot more, to have that early on, and I think writers should take care to get me hooked. Like, I know a lot of movie makers and movie critiques, and they scoffle and say you're being mean and not artistic when you talk about rules and different traits and tips and tricks that you can do when you make a movie. But there is it's kind of like some golden rules about movies or any TV shows that I heard it from movies, so I'm going to talk about movies. So take note of these, and of course they are not rules or laws, as if you break them everything falls apart, but they're good guidance for saying how can you keep audience attention, and that's what I think is the overall topic here of my rant opinion piece. I don't know what this is. I hope you're enjoying it. So, if you're watching a movie, the rule of thumb is, as far as I understand it, is that the first 7 minutes we can call the hook. This is what will get you in. You will be, whoa, you'll be excited. You'll be like, whoa, this looks interesting. This is new, or this is exciting, something's happening. That's the first 7 minutes. That's the hook. So if you're one of those that browse Netflix, you can use this. I had a friend that I watched a lot of movies with, and he hated wasting his time on a bad movie. So we would use this where I would sit with a stopwatch, start the movie, 7 minutes, I'll just stop it wherever it is, not wait for a scene or something. At 7 minutes, and then ask him, do you want to continue? And then if he said no, we wouldn't. That's how important those are. We have it as persons as well. The first-hand impression, it's a thing. And it can take it'll take less than a minute to give it, and then you can work the rest of your life to change it if they got a bad first-hand impression of you. The same with movies, and the rule of thumb, as I understand it, is those 7 minutes. So that would be the hook that will make you keep watching. So if you're watching, so you can do that by browsing Netflix. Take some top trending movies or whatever. Give it 7 minutes. It'd be a fun exercise. If you want to then analyze and go, oh, this is why I'm not caring, or I don't know what's going on. A mystery can be a great hook as well. So then after 20 minutes, if we continue watching the movie, 7 minutes, the hook. After 20 minutes, more or less, again, rule of thumbs, you should have the world established. You should know the situation, you should know the status quo, you should know this is normal, this is what is going on. So you should know some characters, what they're doing, what they're up to, what are the rules of the world that they're in. So, because good movies would have established that about this time. And then after 30 minutes, so 10 minutes after the world is established, there's what we call the incident or the twist. For example, in Star Wars, I think this is around where he's introduced to Obi-Wan and his parents or his uncle is killed. So this is where something happens that will keep you watching the rest of the movies. You were hooked, you learn the world, and then something happens. And that will make you happen. And I can tell when that is not happening. My investment in movies goes off. I start looking at my phone, or if I'm watching on my computer, which I'm often doing, I start putting memes or browsing for recipes on the other monitors, or maybe I'll text someone or plan the next day of shopping, whatever I'm starting to check out. And that's because the movie has failed to get my attention. So if you learn something, or if you want to try and do this, feel free. And I think these are good guidelines for if you want to create something, and if you wanted to say, why isn't this working on me? You're not engaged. And so far, Sandman, as I said many times, has me very much engaged. I'm a little bit more engaged more with House of the Dragon. I'm sort of zombified a bit when watching The Rings of Power. But of course I'll talk about those in separate videos when I have a whole season. Anything else doesn't really make sense to me. This just had me going. I'm gonna finish now. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made any sense to you. Thank you for watching.